family. My name is SheriAnn Alperovich. I am a Christian influencer and author dedicated to spending faith and truth in a noisy world. I was honored to meet David Vogel through the Franzese Family Forum, where we're both proud members united by shared values. From our very first conversation, it was clear that David and I were not just colleagues. We were kindred spirits on a mission. What started as a professional connection quickly blossomed into a powerful friendship built on faith, loyalty, and respect. We became partners in podcasting, combining our voices to ignite hope, courage, and conviction across the airwaves. Today, I'm grateful not only for our able to work together, but for the real abiding friendship we have forged in God's light. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute honor to welcome a man whose life reads like a novel you couldn't even dream up, except it's all true. David Vogel is an ordained minister, a father of 5, a former Trump Tower resident, and a warrior who once risked his life wearing a wire to protect Donald Trump's own board members. But that's just the surface. David's story is raw. It's full throttle. It's a ride through breathtaking success, crushing betrayal, unimaginable loss, and a triumphant return led by faith. Born and raised Orthodox Jewish, David was a boy genius in a business, building a booming mail order empire before most kids even opened up a bank account. But early fame brought early mistakes. To his own admission, he started his career crooked before meeting Jesus in his 20s and finding the true way to live. From living on the 59th floor of Trump Tower to losing everything, to facing prison time for a crime he did not commit, to fighting government prosecution simply because he refuses to stop preaching the word of God. David's story isn't just about redemption, it's about survival, and it's about the real bloody price of success. Today, he reaches thousands around the world with his daily sunrise sermons and leads a growing ministry, the Church of Unity. Please help me welcome a true warrior of faith, David Vogel. Hello, David.
Hello, Sherry. That was so beautiful.
Thank you. It's true. Everything's true. So, David, let's just go ahead and get right into it because there's a lot I want to cover today, if that's okay with you.
It's okay with me.
All right.
I'm all yours.
Great. Like I said, thank you everybody for joining us today. David, you grew up Orthodox Jewish. How did that early faith shape your life and character?
I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. All my friends were either Italian or Jewish. It was a very close-knit neighborhood, and everyone got along. One of the reasons I'm a fan of Michael Franzese and joined the family is there was a big mob presence in the neighborhood, but they always kept our neighborhood safe. They didn't rob and steal in our neighborhood.
100%.
Your cousin, is that, I think that's Ali Boy Persico?
Ali Boy Persico, the Colombo family. Yeah,
wow,
that's my first cousin.
Your first cousin. Obviously, you're nothing like it. You're a wonderful Christian and an honest person. The one thing about the people in the neighborhood, they kept the neighborhood good. They were good to their own. I grew up originally Orthodox Jewish. Family was everything. God was very important. We worshiped God. I was bar mitzvahed. I put on tefillin, which was a ritual in the Jewish religion where you pray every morning.
Wow.
It was a ritual for me for a long time. It shaped me to be very ambitious. Jews were supposed to be ambitious.
Yeah.
So I started I started a mail order business very early. I started selling garbage bags door to door, just like Mark Cuban. I didn't just limit myself to garbage bags. I sold everything and anything, candy, greeting cards. This is when I was 11.
So you had drive going all the way back to your youth. You were wanting to make some money, for sure.
I wanted to make money. Here's the thing. I got to admit it. I'm here to be transparent. When I was young, I wasn't a very godly person the way I did business. I was actually a scoundrel. I was running mail order scams.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be honest.
I want your honesty today. That's what this is all about. You promised me.
I promised you.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you to it.
And somehow I think, and we'll talk about that later, what happened later in life when I was accused of something I didn't do was God punishing me, because I'll give you an example. I know we talked.
Oh, I have something to say about that. You know that. But go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Like, for example, I would run ads in the back of the local rag magazines. They always had the second-rate newspapers. They still have them. Back then, they were very popular. And they had all the escorts, the prostitutes advertised. So I would advertise, for example, this was one of my ads, a 1/4 ounce of grass, $20. That was my entire ad with an address.
A pallet of grass or just a square of grass?
Well, no, I was advertising. See, here's what I was thinking. It actually worked. I was advertising where the hookers advertised, and they actually provided an illegal service. Back then, they didn't have the marijuana dispensaries.
Oh, so you're talking about that kind of grass?
No, I actually sold grass. But the people thought the people assumed.
Oh, that was your tactic.
Yes, because
that's smart, dude. I gotta be honest, that was clever.
I was 16 years old. I was making a few $100s a day doing that. I'm not proud of that. I was fooling people. They thought they were getting marijuana, and I sent them grass.
You sent them what you advertised.
Oh, exactly.
But you were very clever, and that's your shark mindset.
Then I'd advertise, this was one of my other ads, I advertised placebo Spanish fly.
What's that?
Spanish fly was something supposedly you put in a woman's drink, and it makes her very sexually, it turns her on, supposedly.
Oh, I mean, okay.
It does work, but I sold placebos. The thing is, people didn't know what placebo was. I just said placebo. So they got a sugar pill. That's what people assumed they were getting something.
Yeah.
They didn't. And I'm ashamed of that now. We're laughing about it. It's funny. I was just a kid. But I was doing things like that.
Do you understand really at that age what exactly you were doing other than making money? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I'm not going to lie to you, but I knew exactly what I was doing. I would laugh at it.
Did you come up with those ideas yourself? Were you taught by someone? Did you learn by just seeing other people? Like, how did you get that mindset? Or do you think you're just born with that type of drive to make money?
I think I was born with the drive to make money. I did when I was a teenager, very dishonestly. I was, like I said, a scoundrel, a thief. I didn't take people's money and not deliver.
You gave him that placebo pill.
I gave him the placebo. Yeah,
I gave him the grass.
I gave him the grass. I even had someone when I was 16 come to my house from the Attorney General's office. To me, it was a big joke, because back then you could get away with things like that, even if I was stealing.
It's not like it is today.
Not like it is today. It was the 70s. And I was like a total ass. I got to admit it. They'd come to me and they would tell me, stop advertising. And the magazine, they tried to get the magazine not to take my ads, but hey, they took ads from hookers. They weren't going to refuse it.
They knew exactly what they were doing. It's a business to them. It's not, in my eyes, the straight path to go, but at the end of the day, it's a business. Let me ask you a question. You showed incredible drive early on. What led you to embrace business so young?
I just wanted to make money.
It's not about the money. It's about the money.
It was, I graduated high school at 15 years old. I skipped 2 years in high school.
Oh, wow.
Back then I thought it was great, but it was actually very problematic because I didn't have any girlfriends. Where do you meet girls? They didn't have the internet. They didn't have Match.com back then. Back then you had fake ID. You sneaked into the club, but I was too young for that. The only place you're going to meet a woman is in school. I was the smallest kid in my senior class. I was 15 years old. I didn't get picked on. It was just the opposite. No one even bothered with me. It was like, who's this kid?
Right.
And by the time I was ready to meet women. It was just horrible because I had no place to go. So it was real problematic. I figured in my mind, just make a lot of money.
Don't get the women.
Yeah.
It does. You got to be honest. It does help. You've been so transparent about mistakes. What was it like being a young, foolish fraudster in business?
Back then, I was enjoying it, but I still think, and I'm going to say this again, I laughed at the authorities. I laughed at everyone who complained. I had a lot of complaints, and someone would complain.
What do you mean complain?
Some people would write letters to the attorney general. Hey, I got this package of grass.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say, hey, I advertised the quarter ounce. Was my count short? Is he accusing me of not giving him a quarter ounce of Central Park's finest? I'll send him some more. I don't want any issue. And they would say, come on, you got to stop doing it. I would just laugh at them. That was just one thing. I also used to advertise, all sorts of stuff. I would tell people how they could make money. One of the ads, I ran this in the National Enquirer. And back then, that was the reg.
I remember.
16-year-old earns $2,000 a week. Find out how. $5. I would send them 2 pages. I just typed it on my typewriter back then. Hey, do the same thing I'm doing. I elaborated.
Hey, that's still relevant today. They're all like, if you want them 10,000 a week, then do this. But not quite at what, 16? And back in the day, that was pretty clever. I got to be honest with you. You were an entrepreneur even as a teenager. How did you end up publishing 27 magazines at just 16 years old?
Oh, one of the things I did that was right. Okay. I actually had my ads in 27 magazines for free. I looked for a mentor. I always liked mentors, even back then. So I was young and I met a guy named Barry Jacobson. He owned a company called SheriAnn Advertising. He was a big we called him madman, we still do, a madman. I went to a seminar, I heard him speak, and he took a liking to me. Hey, I was young, I was ambitious, I wanted to learn. Psychologically, people like to be teachers. Yeah. And he taught me a trick. He told me that a lot of magazine publishers, if you catch them right before they're about to publish, they have advertising they haven't sold. Right. There's like pages missing. It's not a complete sellout. So you could make a deal with them where they run your ad on a PI, that's per inquiry basis.
What does that mean?
Per inquiry means you pay them per sale. You advertise your name, your product with their address. The orders go to them. They count the orders and you basically pay them a negotiated fee for every sale you make. So I did that with my Spanish fly placebos, and I ended up in 27 skin magazines because there was this guy I met that was publishing all sorts of dirt, and he never sold out. Jerry was right. Yeah. And, I got my ad for free. When I say for free, I paid per inquiry, but I didn't have to pay any money. It's probably like a $20,000 hit for me back then, which was just amazing. Wow. Yeah. But, here again, I think, what happened to me, and we'll talk about that in a bit, what happened to me in my 40s might have been God paying me back, because I got away with so much and I was laughing because I was a kid. And part of the reason I got away with so much was back then, a kid, a 16-year-old, could murder in New York City. And the most they would give him is 5 years. Back then, not now. Okay? Yeah. I think, and we'll talk about this, that my situation, my prosecution for something I did not do, that I was not guilty with. Yeah. Something that happened when I was leading a very ethical life and I dedicated myself to Jesus, myself to Christ. And I was doing a lot of philanthropic work. And I'll talk about that too in the interview. Yeah. I thought God paid me back.
Psalm 103:12 says, as far as the east is from the west, so far He removed our transgressions from us. Once you lay it at his feet, he's not dragging it back up. He's not holding it over your head. You're forgiven, you're loved, you're redeemed, and set free. No matter what happened back then, he doesn't punish you for your past. He uses it to shape your future. If you let him know, you have to let him. And the future he has for you is bigger and better than any mistake you have ever made. That's my opinion.
Maybe it's all going to work out.
Yeah, maybe, but we definitely have a lot to unfold here, and we're going to get there. So let me ask you, okay, so you had your mentor, and then came a turning point. How did you find Christ, and what did your baptism mean to you?
I was 26 years old.
Okay.
I married my first wife. We were having a lot of problems. I worked for a company called Heritage Rare Coin Galleries. They're $1 billion company today, Heritage Capital or Heritage Auctions. And I was lost. I was still studying the Talmud, the Torah, which is basically the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Then I met a man named Mike Haynes. And Mike Haynes was an executive at Heritage. And he brought me to Jesus. He brought me to the First Baptist Church. I remember he introduced me to a pastor named Billy Weber. And it made sense to me. Yeah, I got bar mitzvah. I studied the Torah. Okay. And everything about Jesus, everything is prophesied in the Old Testament. To make a long story short, I was sold.
Yeah.
I knew at that point I was working for a legitimate company. I wasn't doing anything like I did in the old days. I turned my life around. I was married, but I had another problem. My first wife, which looking back was probably all my fault. I was young and stupid. I didn't know how to deal with a woman. I had no real dating experience in high school because I graduated so early.
And then you were just all straightforward making that money. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess adversity brought me to Jesus, but it all made sense. And I felt a sense of belonging. There was no turning back. I accepted Jesus. I accepted the New Testament.
Did it feel just right from the get-go when he introduced? Because I'm guessing back then with Orthodox Jewish, it's all Old Testament. Jesus hasn't come yet. Was it ever introduced to you? What was Jesus to you back then versus when you turned 26 and you met your friend? You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
What was that light bulb?
Jews always believe in the Messiah. They just believe the Messiah hasn't come.
Yeah.
Then when scripture was read to me in the Old Testament, basically they used the Old Testament to prove Jesus is the Messiah. It just clicked. At the First Baptist Church of, I think it was Richardson, just make sure I remember, it was a while back. Then I eventually went to the First Baptist Church of Dallas because I was a fan of Zig Ziglar and I wanted to meet him, which is a story I'll tell you another time. But I started going to Bible studies and I felt it all made sense. It was just logical. The Messiah was here. Yeah. Okay. And everything about Christianity made sense. Everything was just so beautiful. I just felt so good going to church. I felt so wonderful.
Fulfilled.
Perfect word. Fulfilled. Yeah. Everything seemed right.
Yeah. I understand that. You also turned outward, giving back. Tell us about your work with the Council for Unity.
Council for Unity, I've been involved with for about 50 years. It's the one thing I did in my life that is just wonderful. Council for Unity was born back in the days of Bensonhurst when I was very young, when a federal judge said that African-American students and white students have to integrate. So back when I first started going to school, there was no black kids in our school. It was just the neighborhood kids, and the kids started getting bussed in. What happened is a lot of very misguided people from our neighborhood would meet the buses of African-American kids, adults too, but mostly teenagers, with dogs and bottles. It was a full-blown riot. Bob DeSena, who was my English teacher, wonderful guy, neighborhood guy. He made peace. It was a miracle. He convinced everyone to put down the bottles, put the drugs away. And then it was a mission. Council for Unity goes into schools and prisons, and it does amazing work. As a matter of fact, when I was in business in my 40s and I was very successful, I contributed a lot of money.
Oh, wow.
So I was their number one financial private contributor. I also did a lot of work sitting down with Bloods and Crips and gang kids. Later on, that would save me a lot of problems when I went to Bloody Beaumont, which I'll tell you about in a bit, because I had a history of dealing with people, and it was just so wonderful. The miracles that Council for Unity did is amazing. For example, in Suffolk County Prison, there was about to be a riot, and Bob DeSena walked in and he negotiated peace. He turned gangsters, killers, into a band of brothers.
Wow. That's special. To me, it's sounding, you're thinking that that was your punishment, what we're about to speak of next, but it's all in God's plan. Everything that happens to us in life circles back to a greater purpose. You know what I mean? So I could talk to you till you're blue in the face about it, because I personally don't believe that it's a punishment, but it was your cross for you to lay down at the feet. However, okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk, because I have so much I want to cover with you today, because you are such an interesting person. So let's talk about your family life. How did marriage, remarriage, and raising not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 children shape you?
I loved being married. I loved Shanae Murray, who is my personal coach. Yeah, she's
drill
wonderful.
Sergeant. She's your drill sergeant.
Drill sergeant.
Great at what she does.
She makes me do live events on LinkedIn.
Maybe you can explain what she does for everybody. Who she is.
She's a coach and a LinkedIn consultant. She's really the queen of LinkedIn. Yeah. She has 1 million followers. If you're going to be marketing on LinkedIn, she's the go-to person.
Oh, she's amazing. I love to catch her videos when I can't catch her live. She's just such a wealth of information, but yeah, she's great.
Anyway, she talked about the average perfect day. When I look back, for me, what was an average perfect day? And it was average. It happened a lot. It was nothing out of the ordinary. That's waking up with a pregnant wife. And
that's amazing. That's beautiful, David. That's really beautiful.
Especially when you have a toddler playing in the background, and they're usually up before you. And married life was just wonderful.
You're so special in that sense. That's a beautiful thing, for not to say anything, but for a man to say something like that. That's definitely special. That's definitely a calling, and your children are so blessed to have you, because
thank you.
There's just it's not that common. There's a lot of men out there, but to say that your average perfect day is to wake up to a pregnant wife, normally we're like, oh, I don't want to stay away from them because they're hormonal or because they're uncomfortable. But that's great. That tells a lot about your character.
Oh, thank you.
I love that about you.
When a woman is pregnant, she also likes to be held and adored and fussed over.
That's your baby in there, that she's growing and nurturing. That's yours too. So part of her is, and you realize that. And I think that's just wonderful.
She's at her peak of beauty.
Wow. All right. Now you're laying it on thick. I mean, you're right. If you just break it down and think of what's happening, my husband would come over and say, so what'd you do today? Oh, I'm growing a baby. What'd you do today? That's what I would say to him. But anyway, it's great that you notice that, recognize that. And it's really special. It's really special. So that's your perfect day. That's great.
It's my average perfect day. Hopefully it will happen again soon, but we'll talk about that
later. Oh, it will. Ladies, come on. Okay, so shifting gears again, you rebuilt everything on honesty, right? Yeah. And what was it like running an ethical numismatic business? Tell me.
That's what I did when I was married. Most of my life, I had a rare coin company. It was wonderful because I had a reputation of being the Ralph Nader of the rare coin business. I had a lot of clients who were multimillionaires. I had a few clients who were centimillionaires. One client I think was a billionaire. He never told me, but he spent millions of dollars with me.
Wow.
It felt good because I was very trusted. The one thing about the numismatic business, a handshake and a promise are the fabric of an agreement.
Yeah.
We didn't have contracts. It's amazing. People would do $100,000, $200,000 deals,
Just
even a
off a
$1 million
handshake.
deal on a handshake.
That sounds like Italians for sure. But yeah, that's something. And that was the way it used to be. It's definitely not that way today.
Yeah. It's in that business.
Yeah.
It's a very close-knit business. Yeah.
Yeah. And you achieved so much great success afterwards. So how did honoring God and loving your kids fuel that success for you?
Just God was part of my life. My kids were part of my life. God is love. My life was just full of love.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of great things. I was very respected in the numismatic industry. I was also working with Bob DeCenter. I continued my relationship. I would sit down with the Bloods, the Crips, the Latin Kings. It was preventing a lot of violence.
Yeah.
That felt good. I had a knack
Sure.
at dealing with these people.
It's a calling. And I think you had to go through what you've been through as an early shark and learning the ins and outs of how not to say be deceptive. You can talk their language. So you learn that early on. And I think it's all full circle. But okay, so I'm dying to ask about this part, okay? Trump Tower years, okay? Because I'm a big Trumper here. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about this. So you then moved to Trump World Tower. Correct. And gosh, I stayed there in a hotel once. And what was life like on the 59th floor? Tell me, please.
To be accurate, I still had my home in New Hampshire. Okay. I was a New Hampshire resident. I bought the Trump Tower building as an investment, but I would stay there when I was in New York. And yeah, and I would run a lot of parties there because I wanted to mingle with the tenants.
So just like networking parties? What kind of parties are we talking about?
Networking. I wanted to network with my neighbors. I would just throw a party and invite every one of my neighbors.
God, I wish I knew you back then.
I was the poorest guy in the building. By the time I moved to it's funny, but you're laughing. I'm making $2 million a year. And I talked to one of the residents, $2 million. Yeah, I spent $2 million to have Elton John. Yeah, I remember a guy told me I spent $2 million to have Elton John sing at my wife's birthday party.
I bet.
Yeah, $1 million is a night out, but I met a lot of good people.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm sure living there wasn't all glamorous. You were pulled into some serious danger. Tell us about wearing a wire for Trump during the Barry Jacobson controversy. I want to hear about this.
Okay. This story is 100% true. It's almost like...
You can't make it up.
I can't make this up. Unbelievable. The Trump World Tower, we got an abatement, a 30-year tax, I think it was 20 or 30-year tax abatement because Donald Trump, he sued the city because he said, and it was true, that the building inspectors were soliciting bribes and he couldn't get a fair deal. He wasn't going to pay them a bribe, Trump.
Right.
Okay, so he basically sued the city and won. Wow. And as part of the settlement, we got a tax abatement. The building's board had to compensate Trump for attorney fees. Originally, it was going to be $30 million. Then it was negotiated down to $15 million. The guy that did the negotiating, his name was Drew Aaron, and he did a wonderful job knocking that figure down from 30 to 15 million. I think that was a very fair number.
Yeah.
Okay. But then we had Barry Jacobson. He didn't want to pay Trump anything. And he told Drew that if you authorize anything, I am going to kill you. This isn't a band leader. Remember The Godfather?
Yeah.
What is this guy thinking?
No.
No.
That's crazy. Delusional.
It's totally delusional, although Barry was very wealthy. Deborah Stotts, who was one of Trump's executives in the building, she asked me to see if I could fish around and get some information from Barry's cousin, who happened to live in the apartment right next door to me on the 59th floor. So I wore a wire and,
wow,
I did some undercover work.
A lot under your belt. Wow, that's. How did you feel about that? Were you nervous? I know why you're doing it, but that couldn't have been easy.
It wasn't easy, but I'm going to be very honest with you. Please. And transparent. I wanted Donald Trump to know I did it. I wanted to get in with the Trump faction.
Any cost.
And I did think I was doing what was right.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Aaron was a very nice man. He was totally shaken because I was around him when that happened. He was nervous. He was scared. Yeah. Barry Jacobson probably had $100 million. And wow. to this day, I wrote about that in the story in one of my newsletters on LinkedIn. And wow. every so often, I look at the metrics. Barry Jacobson is looking at my profile. I'm not terrified.
There's still got to be some uneasiness about it, though, right?
I believe God will protect me.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm not
and doing the right thing.
We both grew up in a mafia neighborhood. Your cousin was Ali Boy Persico. A real mobster would not threaten a Trump Tower executive. It just wouldn't happen. They're going to threaten a band leader, some guy, small guy in a construction company. I think if a real mafia capo heard that one of his crew was threatening a Trump Tower executive, he would take that guy.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of those things that you just don't do and not to do, not even to think of doing. That's insane. After that incredible high came the fall. What was your downfall of God's discipline? Okay, let me rephrase that. Was your you know where I'm going with this. Was your downfall God's discipline or something else?
Those are my words. You're moving my notes to you. Let's be transparent. I think it was God's discipline because what I was prosecuted for, I think it was outrageous. I had a medical clinic. It was a pain clinic. And yes, we dealt with opiate medication, but we had very strict protocol. People just didn't come in and get opiates. As a matter of fact, the DEA tried 3 times. It's part of my record, part of the discovery, to get opiates from the doctors using some stupid excuse like I chew my fingernails or I got a paper cut.
Yeah.
They were turned down. One guy said he was depressed, but it was very political back then.
David, if you don't mind, I'm going to stop you for 1 second.
Sure.
Let's back up a little bit and let my viewers know exactly what the fall was. Yeah, let's start there because then we'll continue on to this area.
I was prosecuted for conspiracy to distribute drugs.
And when was this, David?
The indictment came down in 2008 when I was indicted. They actually took my assets in 2007. They raided my office. They took everything I owned.
And the reason was because, go ahead, you owned a pain clinic. So many others. Pain clinics were the thing. I mean, you couldn't even get pain medication because I'm also a healthcare administrator. So you can't, they're constantly changing the regulations and things like that. There was a time where your primary care doc could prescribe to you. And then now they're saying, no, you got to see a specialist, which would be the pain docs, right? So then you had to specialize to be able to get them. Or your docs, it would only be an emergency room. They can give you like 10, but then you need to go see a pain medication. Even the anesthesiologist, you'd have to go to a pain medicine doc. So these regulations are being made for you, basically. To open up, you have to have pain clinics because that's the only place where people with chronic pain can go to be treated, correct?
That is correct.
Right. I'm just setting up the stage here so people understand. So here you are operating and you were what, the CEO?
No, I wasn't.
You're not a physician.
Originally I was the CEO. I basically abdicated being CEO. I had a CEO working for me. I owned a 78% interest in the clinic.
Okay.
So
And were you there every day? Okay, so you were basically an investor. How would you explain that?
I founded the clinic. I set it up. I was the major stockholder. Okay. But what I'd like to tell everyone is why I'm innocent, because I wasn't a very foolish man. I just didn't go into this without good counsel. And at the time, it was different when I opened my clinic. We had something called the Texas Intractable Pain Act. Now, those laws, many of those laws have been abolished. But back then, there was a different political climate. The climate was that no Texan and no person, no patient should be denied pain medication if they need it. And that was under the color of law. There was a lot of regulations, but I had two attorneys. Number one, Susan Henricks and Douglas Grover. And Douglas Grover, you heard of him.
I heard of him.
He was the former deputy chief of the organized crime strike force. He prosecuted the Gambinos. He prosecuted Tommy Gambino. He prosecuted Salvatore Langella. All the hierarchy of the mob, he prosecuted. He was also one of the lead attorneys on Abscam.
Tell me about that again.
That's when they prosecuted the congressman for taking bribes.
That's right. Okay, got it.
Okay. Anyway, he investigated what I was doing. He worked with a local attorney, Susan Henricks, who said, what I'm doing is legal, Texas state law. And he went to the DEA. He told them what we're doing. He asked for an opinion. And they said, we can't say he's doing anything illegal. And he testified at my trial. I thought I'd get acquitted. Douglas Grover, with his background, was told by the government, they can't say I'm doing anything illegal. But wait, there's more. The protocol that they prosecuted me for was listed on the DEA's website as lawful. And then that website, it just vanishes.
They write their own narrative.
Yeah. So what's happening?
Then it vanished. That's great. All of a sudden it vanishes.
The vanishing website, and they prosecute me for the same conduct that they considered appropriate. It's almost if I'm playing soccer and I'm shooting the goal, they move the goalpost after I take my shot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one other thing. Later on, they prosecuted me based on a objective standard, meaning my standard of medicine had to be objective, which means it could be anything they want it to be. The reason I'm bringing this up is later on, the Supreme Court, just a couple of years ago in the Rouen case, said these type of prosecutions have to be subjective. So if the doctor was acting in good faith, it's not a crime. Based on Rouen, my conviction would not have stood. There's also another Supreme Court case called Jones, meaning I can't do anything about it. It's called finality. It's my conviction would not stand today under legal terms, but it's final. So my only salvation here is clemency from the president. That's the only option I have at this time.
So they were saying that the physician, repeat that for me.
The physician was acting objectively.
Okay, so let me ask, who's playing doctor here? Who's playing doctor? Is it the feds or is it the physician? Who's to question the physician and what his objective is? You know what I mean? Sadly, it comes down to that. Who's the one that's practicing medicine? Who's the one that went through the training, said the oath? It's just unbelievable. Okay.
I was offered, just for your information, I was offered a plea deal of 3 years. I refused.
Because you're innocent.
Right.
Right.
I go to trial in Beaumont, Texas. It's not a very friendly venue. Not for someone from New York. I get convicted and they give me 20 years because I didn't take a plea.
Yeah. Okay. So you were basically caught in a system that crushed innocence, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why do you say the truth about your opiate case needs to be known?
It needs to be known because this wasn't a fair prosecution. They moved the goalpost after I took my shot. If they wanted to change the standard, they should have just said, close down. This is our new standard. We don't want you doing business this way. But they told my attorney, Douglas Grover, we can't say he's doing anything illegal. The protocol I was using was on the DEA's own website. It was a pain study they did with the University of Wisconsin. I still have a copy of it. What's that? They call that the Wayback Machine or whatever, where you look at old websites. You could look at it with the Wayback Machine. You could see that I'm telling the truth.
But David, wouldn't it more come down to the prescribing physician?
The government's position was they were my puppets. And the jury just...
It comes down to it's his license. He's going to really call the shots for physicians, or he or she.
Right.
You can't twist someone. If they say walk off the Brooklyn Bridge, doesn't mean you control these puppets to walk off the Brooklyn Bridge just because you're the owner or the investor, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable. All right. Let's go forward now, because like I said, there's a lot I want to ask here and uncover. Okay, so life inside prison. You entered a brutal world, which is prison, especially a guy like you, right?
Yeah, they didn't send me to a camp, not right away.
No camp.
No.
Okay, can you share what life inside was really like?
I've never seen so much evil in my life.
Wow.
And now we're going to be talking about later some of my issues with some guards. For the most part, I like the corrections officers, most of the prisoners.
Sure.
Most of them,
of course you would. You're
pure evil. And I went to Bloody Beaumont. They sent me initially to a United States penitentiary, the highest level of security.
Wow.
And it was nicknamed
Bloody. White collar crime.
Yeah, because I didn't plead guilty and I got this huge sentence, and that's what
guilty by what? Trial?
And it was, I was in with murderers. Luckily,
how is that?
I knew how to survive. I'll tell you a funny story. Murderers were actually not difficult to deal with. First of all, I would just
can't fathom, David. I can't fathom. I can't believe you're saying that.
Remember, I dealt with murderers in the council
before.
Right. I had God at least paid me back in a great way because I had experience dealing with killers. For me, it was real easy. I would go up to a killer. I would ask them about their kill. They love to tell the story. Oh, yeah. I'd look real attentively. This was my hack, so to speak. I'd look like really interested. And I would say, he had it coming. And if I was there, I would have done the same.
Really? Why?
I wouldn't have. I'm just saying that was my hack because then, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That was my hack.
You have to get that mindset.
Yeah. Remember, I'm dealing with, and then bank robbers were easy to deal with.
How is that different than the murderers?
Most of the bank robbers, most of them were in because they wrote a note. I would be like, I couldn't fathom that. Right. You mean to tell me you wrote a note, give me your money, and they gave it to you? If it was me, I'd say, could I see your gun, please?
Yeah.
Do you really have a gun? But
let's see what's under that.
I would just act shocked. I'd always listen to their stories. And that's how things worked with Counsel for Unity when I was counseling gang people. If you listen to people, if you act like you're really interested in them as a person, they'll relate. The thing about this brutal prison, it wasn't that scary for me because
you've been around them.
I've been around them. No one wants to pick on an old guy. Okay.
So you were the old guy?
I was an old guy. The thing about Bloody Beaumont, if someone was picking on me, it didn't happen, but if someone was picking on me, one of the younger guys would probably get involved. Yeah, that was just the culture there. Why are you picking on an old guy? Pick on me.
Don't kick the old man. David, I've heard you say previously about eye exercises.
Oh, yeah. They thought
Tell me about this.
when I was in prison, I exercised all day. Just 90% of my day, I was working out. And I would do eye exercises. I went in wearing glasses, and I learned eye exercises from Jack LaLanne. Your eyes have muscles. They would think I was nuts. I'm looking in the mirror doing these movements.
Show us one.
Eyes.
But
I'll
eye
tell you
exercise.
Oh, yeah. I lost in about 8 months. I didn't have to wear glasses anymore. It works.
You're going to have to, we'll have to do a separate podcast on that. I want to learn that. Wow. Okay. So they thought you were crazy because you were like,
they thought I was crazy, but in a good way.
You got to have something behind it.
There were a lot of crazier people in there. So I just,
oh, yeah, for sure.
I was at the USP, and then I went to a low.
Okay. So you said you witnessed evil firsthand.
Yeah.
What's the Jonathan Tampico story that you saw unfold? I hope I said his name correctly.
Yeah, Jonathan Tampico. Yeah, okay. There was ever a time I just want.
Can you explain who he is to my?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to explain it. But Jonathan Tampico, when I went to the low at the USP, they didn't have sex offenders. Jonathan Tampico raped 6 8-year-old boys. He got a very relatively short sentence for that. He was in federal prison for child pornography. They gave him 30 years, which I thought is a lot for pornography, and 6 years for rape. I think it should have been the opposite.
It should have been the opposite.
But I remember him telling me when he mentioned the boys, it was all consensual. It was all okay. I wanted to smack the guy.
8 years old. 8-year-old boys.
Believe me, that was the only time I really wanted to smack someone. I held back because I knew he was protected. Back at the Beaumont Low, they protected the sex offenders.
Why? I heard that is the opposite. That's what you always hear, that if you go in as a sex offender, they're going to kill you.
At some prisons, yes, but not at Beaumont Low. That they had to send them there because otherwise they'd all be dead. And these were some horrible guys. So if that guy, Jonathan Tampico, was in the USP where I came from, he would have been killed. Okay. The first day, he wouldn't have lasted a day. But at the low, you even look at them the wrong way. The gods will throw you in the shoe. They'll throw you in solitary confinement.
The same thing, the shoe and solitary confinement.
Yeah, that's what they call solitary confinement. So I wanted to smack the guy. And I'm not a violent guy, but when he said, I have 4 sons, he said, oh, yeah, imagine my 8-year-old son. Yeah, it was all consensual.
When you're a parent, it's hard not to make that correlation. You know what I mean? And that just in itself brings on anger. And you also said that you faced abusive staff. What happened with, I think it was the abusive guard you mentioned?
All my years, this was at the camp. It was actually many years later. Remember, I did 11 years. I actually served 11 years. But Masu was at the camp, and I never, ever had a problem with a corrections officer. They didn't bother me. But this guy, he would just pick on me.
Guy. He picked on the old guy.
He picked on the old guy because he knew I wasn't like a gangster type. It was stupid stuff, but every time he saw me, for a while, it didn't happen right away. He just decided, I'm going to pick on David Vogel.
Can you describe him to us?
He was a Marine. Actually, the story has a happy ending because he did a 180, which is funny.
He changed everybody. Nah, that was a joke. Describe him.
He was a middle-aged guy, I think maybe 40, 45.
Okay.
Well-built. Okay. He was an ex-Marine. He was the food service officer.
Which means?
He handled the chow hall.
Okay.
So he would be picking on me, and I wasn't going to stand for it. So what did I do? I'll confess.
I'll imagine.
I'm never going to hit anyone. I didn't hit Jonathan Tampico. I'm certainly not going to hit a guard. Automatically wrong.
Right.
But it was at the camp. I found this nut named Craig. The guy was wackadoo. He would steal from the campers there, the inmates, which if he wasn't at a camp, they would have destroyed him. But at the camp, remember, it's mostly white collar people, and they don't want to get thrown out of the camp. So he got away with it. But I'm good. I'm a shock when I have to be. I'm good at manipulating him. And I got the nut to write up Masu. He accused him of all sorts of stuff, horrible stuff. Allegedly, he was sexually abused. And I think Masu had a lot of issues. And because of that, he just did a 180. He was the nicest guy in the world to me.
Wow.
Now, I never told this nut to write up Masu. I'm just not like that for sexual assault, because I mean that I would not do.
Yeah, that's a far
this nut. I unleashed the nut.
Yeah, there you go. You unleashed.
And he was just nuts.
And he was creative on his own account.
But the thing is, Masu was abusive to me. He wasn't sexually abusive.
Physically?
No, not physically. No, really. He would pick on me. He would try to tell me.
That's just as worse. It's just as bad as physical abuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyway, he did a 180 after that write-up. And it's every time I came to the chow hall, Masu was throwing food at me. Have a second piece.
Was there a correlation? Did he know where that was coming from? Or maybe you were behind that? Like, you got that respect, almost like you said, a 180. Like, it just changed him completely, or to people that he was not very nice to?
I think maybe the experience changed him.
Okay.
Because he was the nicest guy in the world.
Wow. Yeah.
And I want to stress, I would never tell this guy Craig, who was the nut, to accuse someone of sexual abuse. I think that's going too far.
That is.
Okay, but this guy was totally nuts. Like the right guy.
You unleashed the nut. Yeah. So he said that life was harder at the prison camp. You already explained that, what the verbal abuse was like compared to the USP.
Yeah, at the USP, inmates wouldn't verbally abuse you. When I was at the camp, there's the CEO that's
What's the difference of the camp? I'm not familiar. Between a
camp there's no bars. You could literally walk away. There were some people at the camp, they would spend a couple of hours at the hotel down the block.
Really?
Okay, and then come back. They'd come and go.
Oh.
Sometimes they got caught, sometimes they didn't. Most of the time they didn't get caught. But at the camp,
it was harder there where there's more freedom.
There's more freedom, but some of the inmates there were very abusive.
Yeah.
They would just yell at me. They wouldn't yell at me at a USP. Because even if I didn't do anything, someone else would have done something.
And yet, even in prison, you found purpose. Tell us about, you had mentioned about training dogs behind bars. We hear that a lot.
At the camp, I was in the needs program. I trained dogs all day. It was wonderful. I work out and train dogs. I still did my work.
What kind of dogs? Like for what?
Service dogs.
Service dogs.
With disabled vets and handicapped teens. I remember a handicapped teen got one of my dogs. I was very proud because I spent over a year training her.
Sure.
We also have a dog. You have a companion.
Sure. It's nothing better than a dog that doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a man's best friend. You called out the failures of collective punishment in prison. Tell us about it.
Collective punishment is what they do.
Okay.
And this goes back to when I was at the low. If someone does something and they don't know who it is, they punish everyone. That's against the Geneva Convention, but they do it anyway. And I'm telling them, it doesn't work. Why?
Just creates enemies, you would think.
Well, no, because they're going to end up charging the wrong person. I'll give you a specific.
There you go.
I was at the low, and there was this one guard. She never, I never had issues with the guards, but she was making some enemies with some of the other inmates at the low. One inmate, we don't know who it was, wrote her a note when she made her rounds and just wrote it in red with a pair of underwear that they faked blood. They did ketchup or whatever. And they said, "You're next, Miss Watson."
Oh my God.
That's awful. That I would never approve of that. I think that whoever did that should have been punished. But what happened was they punished everyone. So eventually the gang, the Pisces, they had this kid who they walked down to the lieutenant's office and he made a confession.
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Like 7 gang members, 10 gang members, whatever,
Right.
walking the guy down, and they checked the box. The punishment stopped. And they
Wow.
thought, I don't even think they thought they had the right guy. Maybe they did. Maybe they're blinded. But
Right.
collective punishment is stupid because someone's going to be made to take the blame. And it's
Yeah.
probably not the
right person.
right person. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And you also had some wild personal survival stories. You just mentioned, but what happened with the blood Beaumont?
Oh, Bloody Beaumont?
Yeah, Bloody Beaumont. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, bloody Beaumont. There was some situations where there were some minor riots
Yeah.
where groups would fight each other. We had 2 Mexican factions, the Tangos and the Pisces, get into a fight. Everyone got locked down. It was over where people sit in the chow hall, something stupid. But my point is, you had to watch yourself because you don't want to get in the middle of things. I try to mind my own business. That's what I did.
Yeah. So now I'd like to go to release and life after prison, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how did the First Step Act and elderly home confinement under Trump lead you to your release?
I got to thank Donald Trump because let me tell you something. The First Step Act got me out of prison very early. Remember, I still have a lot of time left.
Okay, can you tell us what that was? Because I don't think we covered that part. What your time actually was.
I think I mentioned that. I pled guilty. I didn't plead guilty. If I pled guilty,
then you would have been done in 3 years, right?
3 years, but they sentenced me to 20 years.
20 years. Okay.
So under the First Step Act, first of all, you got additional good time.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, they had something called the Elderly Home Confinement Program, where you go home.
You're the elderly.
Yeah, I was over 60 years old. You go home, and I think it's like you spend the last third of your sentence, which is a big deal.
Wow. Yeah, sure.
At home, the one thing great about this program, it has a 12% recidivism rate. Trump really put together a great program. Yes, because it focuses on releasing the right people.
Right.
I got to go home. The COVID, that accelerated it a bit, but I was due to go home anyway under the home confinement program. With COVID, I got out a little bit earlier, not much, but I was basically put in the elderly home confinement program. Hey, the First Step Act, the Democrats, they couldn't get criminal justice reform passed. They were talking about it for years. Trump got it passed. And not only did he get something passed, he got something passed that doesn't release violent people, doesn't release predators.
Right.
Releases people who have truly reformed, people who go through programs.
Right.
Like I got extra time for the dog program, and people who are elderly who pose no threat.
Getting out didn't end the battle. What persecution did you face after prison, especially McFarland's retaliation against your First Amendment rights?
Oh, okay.
Tell us about that.
This was actually back in 2024, April. This is just about a year ago. I've been doing my sermons every morning, 7 a.m. I want to start getting on podcast. I want to start getting interviewed for the newspaper. My main goal was to get interviewed because I wanted to lobby for clemency. President Biden, he promised to reform clemency, and we're going to get into that because he absolutely lied. Clemency was not reformed. He made a promise when he was running. He broke that promise. But anyway, I didn't know he was going to break that promise at that point. I wanted to get into the newspaper, and McFarland basically comes up with these outrageous interpretation of restrictions. And he said, no, I can't do it. So I go to court. I file a 2241. Now that's in court for 8 months.
Can you tell us what that is?
That's just a petition basically to change the terms of home confinement.
Got it.
The judge throws it out. Wait a second. It's not the judge of. I'm filing in New Hampshire. I had a liberal judge because according to the judge, 2241 is not the way to file this. You have to file this as a civil rights claim.
Oh,
okay, well, I basically need to refile. But McFarland retaliates. He takes me out of elderly home confinement. He puts me in this other program. It's still home confinement, but it's much more restrictive.
oh. She filed the wrong thing.
Because he's retaliating. And if you don't know who he is the man that put Michael Cohen in prison for publishing his book. I'm a fan of Donald Trump, but Michael Cohen shouldn't have went to solitary confinement, which was torture for him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And eventually, if you know what happened, a federal judge ruled that McFarland retaliated against Michael Cohen.
Wow.
It was retaliation. Yeah. So this guy has a history.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to talk. As a matter of fact, when my case was thrown out, when he put me in this new program, he has me sign documents. Otherwise, I'm going to get locked up. He didn't say it outright, but I'm reading between the lines. He's saying it. He's going to send me to a USP. He's going to send me, a Jew, to some place where the Aryan Brotherhood is going to kill me. That happens. The Aryans kill Jews. Now, he didn't say that, but he's like a nephew of us. He says the director has I remember his words, the director has the authority to send you to a medium.
Pushing his weight.
I'm reading between the lines.
Sure.
But basically, okay, he has me sign documents that I'm not allowed to talk to the media. I can't be on social media. I hired a publicist.
That ties your hands.
Well, the publicist sent out letters to 800 reporters saying that the Bureau of Prisons is trying to mess with my First Amendment rights.
It's almost like he knew what he was doing and then trying to do it that way to cover that up.
And basically, again, a 180.
Yeah.
The BOP, not him. His bosses must have told him everything that I wanted in my lawsuit, I got.
Wow.
As far as First Amendment goes,
sure.
You know, like being interviewed by you, that was prohibited, but it was ridiculous. Why did I have to go through 8 months of that? We could have just made a deal day one. Then this guy retaliated. He put me in this program that I'm still in until the end of May. It's almost over, where it's much more restrictive. And I don't really want to get into all the details. Sure. I have a lot more freedom under the old program. Luckily, I'm a hermit. I don't leave my house very much anyway, and it's only the end of May. But this guy, for example, has me making trips every week to Manchester to check in.
Wow.
Why?
I know
why. I know why they say.
Yeah, of course.
He also retaliated against me in this program. He's claiming I have to get his approval to take the medication that I've been taking for 4 years under the old.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. He's telling me my pain medication was not approved.
A physician?
It is approved by a physician.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not by him. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm an older guy. I have a herniated disc in C5, C6. I have stenosis. You're a medical profession.
Yeah, I have 5 and 6. I had the surgery.
You know how bad that is.
Yeah, I did. And then above it,
4 years ago, I had a doctor prescribe me medication, and he's telling me that it's not approved.
You added this in May?
Yeah. But the thing is, that's another, since he started this, that's 7 months where I'm suffering. Now, I still have excruciating pain. It's not good. There's no reason. When my terms of the elderly home confinement program basically say I can't take any drugs, without physician's approval. But I had physician's approval because this was illegal.
Well, they're the only ones that can give it.
Otherwise, it's illegal. My position is this guy, he's full of retaliation. Oh, here's another thing. I'm preaching every morning. Since June 2023. He comes up with another rule. I can't call myself pastor.
What is that about?
Excuse me. He's citing some rule that in prison, it's a security risk, which it may be. I'm not going to
But
argue.
you're not in. You're in home. You're at home.
I'm home confinement.
And it wasn't like this before in the old program.
Well, no, he put me in this program where.
And you didn't do anything.
I didn't.
There was nothing.
I filed for my First Amendment rights. I wanted to be interviewed by people like you. I want to tell my story. I want to get a pardon from President Trump, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Anybody out there, listen to this. It's self-explanatory. David, you said that you would reform the prison system if you could, right?
Yeah.
What would you tell the new BOP director? I think it's Bill Marshall.
Oh, I would tell him, look, I'm a law and order guy. Trump said you're a law and order guy. Let's get real here. When I was at the low, I saw it with my own eyes. People throwing baseballs over the fence into the yard full of drugs.
Oh, wow.
Beaumont Low was an open air drug market.
Wow.
And the prisoners, and I don't consider myself a prisoner. I consider myself innocent. I don't relate to those people for the most part. I got to be honest. I never related to the people. I was more friendly with some of the guards there. I loved some of the guards there. Yeah. I never had an issue until that one guard started picking on me. Most of the time, I was very friendly to the guards.
That's your personality. I wouldn't think otherwise. Not even hesitation for a second. That's not something that you just change overnight. That's something that's in your character, in your personality.
Yeah.
I couldn't even fathom that. But you stayed strong in your faith, even when you were mocked. What happened with Farewell rolling his eyes at Jesus? Tell me about that.
This was before I was taken out of the elderly home confinement program. I had a great probation guy, Scott Davidson. I'll tell you about him in a minute. He was just wonderful. He was honest. He didn't let people get away with anything. He was an honest guy. He was humble. He wasn't arrogant. He gets promoted. Then I get this other probation officer, Matthew Farwell. He just like mocks me. He's not a nice person. I think he was very disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
I never had that problem with, and I'm an easygoing Scott Davidson. I think he and McFarland got together also. This is just my theory. I don't know. Yeah. They just want to be transparent. I just think he was very disrespectful. I feel I was mocked when I told him I was a minister, when I was doing preaching work. I'm a nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I just was not very happy with losing Scott Davidson. Davidson was a good guy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move forward, and because I think we're definitely almost at an hour and a half here.
Wow.
So there's some really important things I do want to ask you. So if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. I'm all yours. I promise.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of try to squeeze this all in, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Faith, family, and future. That's what I want to concentrate on now, okay? You have a vision for your future that includes faith, family, and family, of course. Why do you say a woman won't marry a man without promising a future?
Let's be real. Okay, it's not just about money, but a woman, if she's going to marry a man, she wants him to have a promising future. She wants him not to be not to be a loser. Especially if I want to have a family, especially if I want to have children, which I do. I want to have more children.
Yeah.
I have to be a provider. A pregnant wife might not be working. A pregnant wife might need to be provided for. So I don't want a relationship contract. Part of my not taking a plea.
I have to agree with you, David.
Yeah. Okay.
I definitely have to agree with you in that. So I see where you're coming from for sure. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had to share that.
Oh, okay. So
that's a great way of thinking. It's not just old fashioned, but it's a comfort. It's a partnership. That's what we want. And we're women. We want that security of the man. We want to know that we don't have to run the show. And even though it's different today, but still, I have to say, I do agree with you in that sense that we want a promising future. We want to know that there is a future. We want you to come with your own tool belt. You know what I mean? So I think that's the right way to look at it, for sure.
That's why I need a pardon.
Yeah.
Because a pardon will give me a potential future where I can have a family.
And contribute. Yeah, you can have a family, you can have a wife, and who's all going to contribute to society in a positive way. And that's what we need.
Quite frankly, McFarland, he suppressed the word of God. He told me I can't call myself pastor. That's a critical issue for me.
That was your turning point.
Besides wanting a family, the Church of Unity, I want 1 million members. I want to build it into a global church. I want a church, and I'm going to be very transparent, that's also able to provide for me and my family. There's nothing wrong with that, because if I build a mega church, I'm legally and morally and ethically entitled to be compensated, but that's the way I want to be compensated, spreading the word of God. Yeah. McFarland, before he took me out of this elderly home confinement program, had no say in what I was doing. There was nothing in my terms that said I couldn't build a church. Now he's telling me I can't call myself pastor, I can't collect donations, a whole list of things. Okay, that's going to end soon anyway, but the Church of Unity, once this ends, I'm going to be dedicated to this 24/7. I'm helping my kids with the solar business because I owe my son. When I went away, my oldest son, for my second marriage, Evan, he supported the family. And that's big. I owe him a debt. I owe him money, and I'm helping him build the solar business into something great. Okay. Done.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to slap you around a little bit. Okay. You once believed that Trump abandoned you. Okay. But now you say you were wrong. And I want to know what changed your view. You
changed my view, Sherry, because you told me the story. I was like upset because I was a big fan. I did at the time really admire Trump. I voted for him in 2020. When I put in my petition for pardon, back when I was actually in prison the first time, I talked to some people. I'm not going to mention their names, but they know who they are. I knew them at Trump World Tower. They are close to Donald. They told me they were going to talk to him. Okay. And I thought,
you never know.
Maybe, I gave it my best. Sure. And I wanted them to tell Donald, because maybe he didn't know. Hey, I'm one of his soldiers. I wore a wire. When Barry Jacobson was threatening to murder your man, Drew, who stepped up. There were other things I did to help during that situation. But could you at least look at my case? Don't do me a favor. Just give it an honest review. Just investigate.
That's just straight up right there. You're not.
And then I was upset, but then I talked to you and you told me you're a big Trump fan. You're telling me, and then my friend Sam from California, he said the same thing. He's a very devout Christian like you. These people, they didn't talk to Donald. He doesn't need to.
So is Trump. Look, exactly what happened to him with the assassination attempts. He's a man of God as well. I love that too.
That was divine intervention. That bullet just only missed him.
Without a doubt. Anyone who questions that is just delusional. You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You've spoken with great admiration about Trump defending Jewish people. Why does that move you so deeply?
Okay. First of all, I grew up Orthodox Jewish. Some of my family is still Orthodox Jewish. One of my relatives, I'm not going to mention her name, she is an educator in New York. What happened at Columbia was reprehensible. Jews were being violated. They were being spit on. They were being violently attacked.
Not just by Jewish as well.
Yeah.
Just to throw that in there. So I understand.
Not just by students.
No.
By the staff. What did Biden do? He said a few words. He condemned them, but he did nothing. Trump, he drew a line.
He did.
He said, no more.
No more. Absolutely.
And this really resonates with me. And that's why I love Trump so much, once again, especially after talking to you, because the reason I fell out of fanship was because I thought he abandoned me. I thought he wasn't listening. And look, he's president of the United States, but he did appoint a great clemency czar.
A man of his word, unlike Biden.
Trump is a man of his word.
He is a man of his word.
He does what he's going to say. Biden, he promised to reform clemency.
That's
and
right.
What did he do?
Let me answer that one. He pardoned convicted killers like what? Peeler and what's his name? Pete? I can never get that. What do you want?
Killed an 8-year-old child.
Right. I could go on all day about this, David.
Betrayal, however you pronounce it, he murdered 2
harboring murders.
Agents, not ex. Biden made false promises. Then Liz Oya, I saw her speak. She said actual innocence is not a condition for clemency. It will not be considered. They pardon the 8-year-old child's killer and the FBI agent's killer. Now, Deborah Leff, she was the pardon czar under Biden.
Extraordinary ethics right there.
Extraordinary ethics.
Yes.
She resigned.
Absolutely.
She resigned.
Christian ethics.
Christian ethics. Pardon attorney is supposed to be ethical. What do you mean actual innocence doesn't count? Obama, he had the same crazy criteria that Biden. Okay, and this is fact. She offered her resignation. Now, Liz Oya, I'm not saying she was bad, but if she had the ethics of Deborah Leff, she would not have said actual innocence doesn't count. She would have resigned. So that resonates with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, All right, success today, right? Okay, so you've rebuilt your life post-prison. Let's talk about Shanae Moret again. How did she help you launch your preaching and sunrise sermons?
This is a story. I didn't want to go live on LinkedIn. I'm an introvert, and back, it was June 2023.
You're trying to get me to do it now.
I'm trying to get you to do it.
I know. Here we are.
June 2023, she cuts like a knife.
Yeah.
She basically embarrasses me into doing it.
That's a woman's way.
In her own way. She's a drill sergeant. Yeah. I didn't have a choice. If I didn't go live, I was going to let Shanae down, and I wasn't going to do that.
Right.
I love her too much. She's so wonderful. She's such a good life coach.
And sometimes you got to trust the professionals. That's why they are. That's what they know when it's outside our comfort zone. That's where you got to put that trust in there. I have to trust you to say, I need to get more active and things like that. I do have a couple of things I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, let's finish.
And back to Shanae. She's a fierce. She's great.
She is a drill sergeant.
Oh, yeah.
And in the best possible way.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And you're teaching me from her. And I'm listening. And I'm that rebellious little
I can tell you this. Since June 2023, I've been live 6 days a week. Yeah. Since June 2023 at 7 a.m. on LinkedIn preaching. I missed one day in 2 years, and that was because McFarland made me sign those stupid papers that I would go to jail if I preached the word of God. If I got on LinkedIn and preached live, that was reversed the next day. That's the only day I missed in 2 years.
Wow, that's dedication.
I'm not going to let Shanae down because I promised.
That tells you, a lot about your character, David. You know what I mean? Now, I have to talk about this.
Yes.
We actually met through Michael Franzese's family.
Yes.
Can you tell everyone how we connected and what Michael's influence means to you?
Michael's story.
Yeah.
It just resonates with me. We have a guy that was a mob boss.
Yeah.
And he turns his life over to Jesus, mainly because of his wife, Camille.
It's always a woman behind it all, right, David?
It's a woman.
She is his strength, his pillar. I read her book. I have so much respect for her. But this is not my question. This is your question. Excuse me, but everybody that's listening, this woman is incredible. If you want to see the epitome of a woman, the epitome of a woman is Cammie Franzese. If I could be anything and model myself after anything, I'd be my mother and Cammie. Because, wow, that's standing behind your man right there. That's having unbelievable faith. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Michael's story resonates because Saul,
yeah,
a man that murdered Christians, becomes Paul, one of Jesus's #1 disciples. I see the analogy. I see the similarity. And I believe 100% that Michael, he's so sincere. He gave up a lot of money, a lot of power because of God, Jesus, and his wife.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful story. I joined the Franzese family to hear Michael speak. I go to the Bible studies. He does Bible studies twice a month. He does a lot of speaking, which I listen to him speak. Then I met you.
Okay. That was the best day of your life. Best
Yeah.
day of our lives. You were the first one I remember. We met and we would send scripture and talk and always end up with scripture. That was our little shared little token, right?
Yeah.
Then I had to do a project for the family. I knew out of everybody that I contacted, you were going to be the first one to respond. You were going to be the first one to complete every question I asked. Not only did you do that, you did it in Word format. You did it in docs. You're so thorough. I just knew that's who you were, and that's what I like. I like that type of character. And I think that's why you're so thorough. You're so, what is what you get? You know what I mean? And you just reach far. You do not go for low-hanging fruit. You reach far. And I think that's incredible characteristic about your personality. 100%. I love it. We've just went vertically up from there. You're such a help to me. I hope in return I'm a help to you as well. But you're a great man. And I'm blessed to call you my friend. And I really mean that. I really mean that. And I hope you understand, believe that.
Joining the family, joining the group, it's been a blessing. Just meeting you has been a blessing.
Yeah. And likewise. Absolutely. Even with this interview, you can pick who you are out in just a couple of questions. This is what you get. And I just think it's wonderful. For those who don't know who Michael Franzese is, he was a former Capo regime in the Colombo crime family, right?
Yeah.
His father was a big mob boss for the Colombos. Michael was supposed to actually go into medical school, but his father was also framed, I guess, accused of a crime that he did not commit, spent a lot of time. Basically, Michael found, how would you say it? He was put into the shoe for a long time after a few indictments, which he won most of them. And a guard slipped in a Bible, right? When Michael thought everything, he was done. That's when he believed he was just done. And
he thought he'd spend the rest of his life in jail.
His family, everything that he held dear was just finished until he got that Bible from an unknown guard. It transformed his life. He ended up quitting the crime family. Now he's a speaker worldwide. And so he's got the greatest story of redemption. And that's what attracted me to him.
Yeah.
There's that in my family, but
your family, and I grew up in the neighborhood, remember?
Yeah, exactly. So he's a motivational speaker, an author, and a media personality. And he's just, his story is just unbelievable. And it's all because of his wife. Now, I mean, it had to be him too, but anyways.
Yes, yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out so people know who we were talking about. Okay, so you've said that you were shocked that I'm going to back up a little bit. Michael Cohen's secret wire recordings were admissible, right? I know I'm really turning this, but I'm kind of switching around a little bit because we're running into 2 hours.
Wow, I'm shocked.
I know. I could talk to you all day.
I know. We spend hours on the phone at night sometimes.
Oh my God.
I know.
You have so much to tell.
And I'm
so
always
much needs to be heard, David.
I'm always going
You
to be
know,
transparent and honest.
yeah, we definitely have to do this again. So Michael Cohen's secret wire recordings, I just wanted to catch up on this, were admissible. Why is that wrong in your view?
Michael Cohen is an attorney. And
right.
Look, assuming Trump's the worst of the worst, an attorney shouldn't be recording their clients. An attorney has an obligation to defend a guy, even if he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay. The persecution of Trump. I think he was persecuted with those criminal indictments. I see the same parallel with my persecution. Whether you love him or hate him, those prosecutions were persecutions. You don't have a guy's attorney testify against him, even if he's a serial killer. That's just how I feel. That shouldn't have been admissible. The judges felt otherwise. I'm just weighing in as someone who's totally shooting from the hip. I can't fathom how an attorney can testify against a former client in a criminal trial.
Yeah. And you've also said that Trump is being persecuted today from everything that you lived through. What parallels do you see?
I've been posting. Good news. I've been posting on LinkedIn, and I was made a manager of the Republican coalition group on LinkedIn because of my writing. I write pretty good.
You're a wonderful writer.
Some of the articles I wrote, this stuff where they're calling him a fascist, he's getting people who are really bad people, out of the country, like this Abrigo Garcia. The guy beat his wife black and blue. There was a boot print on her back.
Oh, come on.
He's MS-13 tattoos.
Couldn't be any more black and white.
They're talking about due process. He's not entitled to due process. He's not an American citizen. If he was charged with a crime, he would be entitled to due process. He wasn't charged with a crime. These never Trumpers, these people are just picking on him, and they're siding with the worst of the worst, like that judge in Milwaukee, the defendant that she tried to protect from ICE. He strangled a man. He beat a woman. Senseless. It wasn't just like a slap. He violently and senselessly beat a woman.
How do you make sense out of that?
Trump wants to send him out of the country, and you have these judges that are trying to tell Trump that he's going too far.
Who's going too far? Let's ask that question. They are.
They're going too far, and frankly, I'm an ordained minister. I'm a Christian, but these people are so evil.
Yeah.
The people he are throwing out, they're evil people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it gets me.
Yeah. Okay, flipping the switch. Now I got to say this about you, and I know that because when we're talking, you just pop things out, and you have an extraordinary gift with numbers. You're like, oh, Sherry, you're 47 and then minus 19. I can't even catch up. So tell us the story of Scott Davidson and how it showed your savant abilities.
Before I retired as CEO of my son's solar company, I got a client an $849,000 grant. That's free money from the government. Scott Davidson, if you recall, before I was thrown out of the elderly home confinement program and put in this other program, I don't even know what you call it. Scott Davidson was a real great guy. He was the probation officer. And he actually was so helpful. He told me to write a book on how to navigate the Fed. Now, I turned that into navigating the Fed, getting free money. He actually gave birth to this idea where I could get clients, mostly centimillionaires, because I'm very honest. I deal with people who are very sharks. I could get them $1 million free money from the government because I know how to navigate the Fed. There's one thing I'm really good with is numbers, and I'm very anal. I read.
Yes, you are, but in a good way.
Yeah, I read the notices I get from the federal government about free money. I read them thoroughly. And I'm helping
federal
my.
government. That's us. That's us. The federal. That's our tax money.
It's your. I'm sorry.
But it's yours too. You know what I'm saying? So
it's everywhere.
Don't even get me started. Mishandle, whatever. But don't even get me started on that. But you said today, right, that living in it's Wolfsboro, right, New Hampshire,
Wolfboro
is a blessing. Why is that the most peaceful place for you?
I love living here.
You've said it over and over to me.
I'm in God's country.
Yeah.
I got bear. I got moose.
You got horses right down the street.
I have horses right down the street.
You're the animal whisperer.
I got so many wonderful animals. I have a pet turkey I feed in the morning.
I believe that.
But the thing I love about this is the people of New Hampshire. Most of them are very kind. Yeah. Look, even Scott Davidson, he's kind. The people I deal with, even under my new program, not McFarland, the people here in New Hampshire, they're really kind to me. Yeah. And I find that people here around this area are very kind. When I'm walking down the street, if I have to cross the street, they'll stop their car.
Stop it.
Yeah, really. Even
stop your car. I think I need to move there. Here they just hit the gas.
People are kind.
That's great. I'd love it too. That's great. Yeah. It's beautiful there. When I've seen the picture, the foliage, everything it's really beautiful there in New Hampshire.
And I sent you a lot of pictures, didn't I?
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Okay, now I got my one. Okay, I got two more.
Okay.
Because then I got to get for carpool or else my kids are going to be. Okay, after all you've survived, what is your final message about the real price of success?
The price of success.
Yes.
The price of success was a video topic I was supposed to do like a year and a half ago in Shanae Murray's mastermind class. I never did it. I did 99% of her assignments, but that was one I was saving.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be a 2-minute video. We're on this interview for like almost 2 hours. The price of success, my final reflection. You could be very successful and then it could all be taken away.
Right.
I had it all. I had a $4 million apartment. I had a multiple 7-figure year income, a wife and 5 kids. Yeah. And then I lost it. Yeah. So the price of success can be very brutal. Yeah. When you're successful, you become a target.
Yeah.
There's always someone who wants to take it away from you.
Right. I have to.
And that's the price.
Okay. And then one final note. Okay. What's your message for anyone feeling crushed, but still dreaming of redemption?
My message is really to Donald Trump. He let me out 6 years early with the Elderly Home Confinement Program. Yeah. He let out the right people with the First Step Act. I'm begging him, keep up the momentum.
Yeah.
I'd love for Trump to sign the Trump clemency doctrine and let Alice Marie Johnson, who he appointed as pardon czar, do her job. I want to preach. I want to spend my life preaching. And I want to promote Council for Unity and Church of Unity, both. I want to continue working with gang kids, turn them around.
Help with reform. And there's so much.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I want, and maybe I'm selfish, but I want a wife and children. I'd like to have 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 children. The only way that's going to happen is if I get clemency. I can lead my life, I could preach, but if I want to have a wife and children,
sure,
I need to be able to provide for a wife.
Sure. And you deserve that. You deserve that.
I think I was prosecuted wrongfully, but like I told you earlier, I was a scoundrel when I was a teenager.
Sinners, David. We've all. So what you do today is what matters, and what you do tomorrow is what matters, right?
Yeah, but some people call it karma. I don't believe in karma, but I believe in God. Maybe God was just saying, "Hey, David, you were a real bad kid, and you got away with it. You laughed. This is your payback.
Not, David. I think your journey had to go through every step. And you've got so much more to go and so much further to go and so much good to give because of your trials. I'm going to work on you with that because.
Thank you.
But anyway, it has been a pure pleasure spending this time with you. It flew by, but that's how we always are together, right? And thank you for being open and honest with me and sharing your story and being transparent and your struggles, your goals. Thank you. I hope, everybody out there is happy and learn something and will share this. Please, I beg you, share this on your feed. Let's get David's word out there. Let's let it fall into the right hands. Like he said, just have people just look at your story. You're not trying to paint a narrative. Everything is transparent for you. Let's help David out. You heard it first and foremost right here. He's a good man who deserves a good future. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we've journeyed through the remarkable life of David Vogel, a man who has faced profound trials, embraced redemption, and now stands as a beacon of faith and resilience. David's story is not just one of personal transformation. It's a testament to the enduring power of faith, right? And the human spirit. From his early days as a young entrepreneur to the challenges he faced with the justice system, David has consistently demonstrated courage and integrity. So in light of his journey, I earnestly appeal to President Donald Trump and Alice Marie Johnson, the current clemency czar, to re-examine David Vogel's case and his unwavering commitment to faith and his contribution to the community, and all in the injustices that he's endured warrant a thorough review and consideration for clemency. It's imperative that our justice system reflects both fairness and compassion. By granting him clemency to individuals like David, we not only rectify past wrongs, but we also reinforce the values upon which our nation stands. So let's all stand together in support of justice, redemption, and the transformative power of grace. David, thank you again.
Thank you, Sherry.
I really enjoyed this. Big hugs.
I can't believe it's been 2 hours. But
I know. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for hanging in there with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sherry.
And just in time for carpool, but everybody, thank you for coming and listening and watching. We'll see you next time.
God be with you, Sherry. Have a great day.
God be with you too, David. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.